I just want to read from a policy paper. The costs of cleaning up coastal waters, a national resource, have not fallen fairly across the country. 30% of the cost has fallen on Devon and Cornwall, which have just 3% of the nation's population. The chair of the South West Water Consumers Committee believes their average bill will go up a further £150 per year. What year was that? That was written in 1996. It was a Liberal Democrat policy paper from almost 30 years ago. And it's a story that we continue that continues to chime today and has echoes down the decades. I mean, I think it is very good that we are talking today about the performance of one single water company, and South West Water is plainly one of the worst performing water companies in the country. But what we should not do is focus myopically on the performance of one single water company and miss the big picture, that being the regulatory environment in which all water companies are working. And it's that which I want to address my remarks in the next few minutes. Yes, it's true that South West Water is paying out some quite staggering dividend payments. Since 1990, South West Water has paid out an amount equivalent to £2,931 per property in dividends, and that is more than any of the other 13 English water companies. And a constituent of mine from Seaton recently pointed out to me that South West Water, or certainly its parent company, Pennon Group, owes £3.1 billion in debt, which is really quite similar to the amount paid in dividends since 1990, £3.2 billion. So, by these measures, South West Water is a poorly performing water company, but we have to look at the environment in which it is working, because these companies are working to the incentives that their shareholders set for them, rather than from the point of view of our own public benefit and public goods. There were 146 recorded dry spills over a 12-month period last year. And just to recap, these are illegal dry spills. Those are spills made by water companies when there is not heavy rainfall. And just yesterday evening, I was talking to somebody from a neighbouring constituency. Joe Bateman from the East Devon constituency attended the End Sewage Pollution Coalition meeting that I brought together, and she was explaining to me that she is suing South West Water for these illegal dry spills. I am not at all persuaded that water companies will simply do the right thing without government intervention. We know that the Environment Agency has been denuded of resources in recent years. The agency had £235 million cut from its budget when the Honourable Member for South West Norfolk was the Secretary of State for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. I will give way.
I thank my honourable friend. I mean, obviously he was in the room for my speech, and I explained that there is more investment going into the Environment Agency to tackle the issues that he's raising. But could he just shed some light on Lib Dem policy for a second? Do you still want to abolish the EA or keep it? It's not clear. It's a muddle. It's a farce.
I'm grateful to the Honourable Member for the intervention. Liberal Democrat policy is to abolish Ofwat, but very much to bolster the Environment Agency. We need to make sure that we have a regulator with teeth. And I'm afraid to say, as I've said to the Honourable Member before, that if the Environment Agency has teeth, then they are in a glass of water by the side of the bed. And he says that he thinks South West Water is going to hear him in terms of his concerns. But I would point out that the Chief Executive of South West Water only forwent her bonus when it was plain that the level of campaigning and the level of popular opinion, the outrage that existed in the West Country was such that anything else would have been just unacceptable. And I should say also it's under pressure from parties like the Liberal Democrats that the Conservatives seem to have been talking in recent weeks about water companies and their executives not taking their bonuses when the performance of those water companies is so poor. I will give way.
On that point, and I thank the honourable gentleman for giving way on that point. And to clarify the Liberal Democrat policy and the actions that they've taken, maybe he could explain what his party's leader actually did to tackle this issue when he was Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change between 2012 and 2015.
I'd be very happy to. And of course, at that time, the Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change, or DEC as it was then, had different responsibilities. I should point out that now our policy is very much about reforming water companies' boards. We need a situation where these are transformed into public benefit companies. We need boards to have grassroots campaigners like those that I gathered together last night. We had, for example, Surfers Against Sewage. We had the Women's Institute present last night, who are pushing their What Are You Waiting For campaign. Fantastic campaigners who need a voice around the board level of these companies, because otherwise what we will be facing with is the catastrophe of some of our tourist hotspots being struck with this affliction that is water pollution. 4 of the 10 most affected beaches, in terms of blue flag beaches affected by pollution, were in Devon last year. That included Sidmouth, which endured over 600 hours of sewage spills. Now, we were talking earlier in this debate about the Environment Agency, and there needs to be, in my view, the end of operator self-monitoring. Operator self-monitoring is where water companies get to gather their data themselves before passing it to the regulator. And it means that they can potentially affect that data and vary what they are collecting. It's essentially the case that water companies are marking their own homework. And this is having a devastating effect on some of the tourist areas like the one in the Honiton constituency that I represent. So to bring my remarks to a close, I feel this afternoon that we've heard a mismatch between some of the rhetoric I've heard other honourable members using and their voting records. I point them to the 25th of January 2023, when we voted on the draft environmental targets (water) bill, where I was very proud to insist that the government should be having more stringent targets for water pollution. And I can see, Mr. Henderson, that you are suggesting that I've reached the end of my time, but I'm very grateful for the chance to have my remarks today. Thank you.